Welcome back. This is Momentum Breaking News. I hate to have to report this. The breaking news just in Momentum's news desk is that at least 28 deaths related to Hurricane Harvey and its aftermath have been reported in Texas. With countless Houstonians still awaiting rescue, Tropical Storm Harvey devoured another Texas city, leaving thousands stranded in flooded homes and forcing the evacuation of a nursing facility and even an emergency shelter where residents had sought refuge. Our whole city is underwater right now, but we're coming, Port Arthur Mayor Derek Freeman posted Wednesday on Facebook. If you called, we're coming. Please get to higher ground if you can, but please try to stay out of attics. The storm left record-setting rain in Harris County, which saw 19 deaths before unleashing 15 inches in the Beaumont area, Texas Governor Greg Abbott said. The worst is not yet over for Southeast Texas as far as the rain is concerned, he said. At Lake Arthur Place, a nursing home in Port Arthur, rescue workers evacuated up to 74 bedridden patients after an altercation involving relatives who tried to take out loved ones on their own. The breaking news, just in Momentum's news desk, is that Hurricane Irma practically wiped the island of St. Martin from the map. Unfortunately, some cities had been wiped off the face of the earth. On the morning of September the 6th, Irma's center crossed the island of St. Martin while the storm was near peak intensity, sweeping away entire structures, submerging roads and cars, and triggering an island-wide blackout. Irma's extreme winds ripped trees out of the ground and sent vehicles and debris from damaged structures scattered across the territory. On the French side of St. Martin, entire marinas around Marigot were left in ruins, littered with the stranded remnants of boats that had smashed into each other. A hotel caught on fire, but dangerous conditions and impassable roads prevented firefighters from putting out the blaze. Another hotel lost nearly all of its ground floor. Media images depicted devastated room interiors with furniture hurled around after the winds had shattered their windows. The hurricane destroyed an 11-bedroom mansion owned by United States President Donald Trump. Irma killed 4 people on the French side of the island and injured 50 others, one of whom was in critical condition. A similar situation unfolded in St. Martin, St. Martin's Dutch half, as intense winds ripped through buildings and lifted vehicles aloft as if they were matches. The hurricane wreaked havoc on Princess Juliana International Airport, with huge chunks of the building strewn across the runway and a jet bridge snapped in half. It demolished or severely damaged about 70% of St. Martin's houses, forcing thousands of residents into public shelters. There were 2 deaths and 23 injuries, 11 of which were serious, in the Dutch territory. Irma is considered the worst natural disaster to hit St. Martin. The extent of its damage far exceeded that of any previous hurricane. Prime Minister William Marlin estimates that at least €1 billion will be necessary to restore the destruction, while disaster analysts from CEDIM predict losses will exceed $1.5 billion. Irma left widespread destruction and disastrous flooding along its path over the French island of Saint Barthélemy, southeast of Saint Martin. Describing the extent of the destruction, one local compared it to a bomb that burned all vegetation, while another said that it were as if the hurricane had effectively erased the island from the map. Welcome back. This is Momentum Breaking News. Dark shadow of devastation has been cast over the Caribbean once again. The breaking news, just in Momentum's news desk, is that another island in the Caribbean has just been wiped off the map. Hurricane Maria wiped Dominica off the face of the earth, I'm sorry to say. The storm tore through Dominica, a mountainous island country of 72,000 people in the eastern Caribbean, late on Monday, causing devastation that Prime Minister Roosevelt carried described as mind-boggling. Maria is following a similar path to Hurricane Irma, which ripped across the Caribbean earlier this month, claiming at least 84 deaths and reducing the island of Barbuda to rubble. Maria claimed its first victim in the French territory of Guadeloupe, where two other people were missing. Dominica's Prime Minister Roosevelt Carrot pleaded with the world to help his small island country by posting a dramatic Facebook status. The winds have swept away the roofs of almost every person I have spoken to or otherwise made contact with, Scarrett said in his urgent Facebook post, describing an avalanche of torn away roofs across the country, including that of his own residence. Rainfall ahead of the hurricane caused several landslides in Dominica as water levels across the island began to rise by the afternoon of September 18th at 21:35 Atlantic Standard Time that day, 1:35 Coordinated Universal Time, September 19th. The core of Maria moved directly over Dominica with wind speeds of 160 miles per hour, i.e., 260 kilometers per hour, or Category 5 intensity. The extreme winds blew the roofs of many houses, including that of Prime Minister Roosevelt's garret, who required rescue when his home began to flood. Most of the island was left without cellular, radio, or internet service. Scarrett called the devastation mind-boggling and indicated immediate priority was to rescue survivors rather than assess damage. As of September 19th, according to an update from the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, CDEMA, there have been 6 deaths on Dominica as a result of the hurricane based on preliminary information. One bit of good news emerged from the Caribbean. Martinique was largely spared. The French island of Martinique suffered no major damage. Maria knocked out power to about 50,000 homes, and 10,000 homes had no water. But overall, the damage assessment was reassuring, the French Interior Ministry said. Thousands of Puerto Ricans have been told to evacuate or die as Category 5 Hurricane Maria bears down on the island. Having devastated the island of Dominica, Maria is cutting a deadly path west with Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands most at risk. Winds have strengthened to 175 miles per hour. You have to evacuate, otherwise you're going to die, Hector Pesquera, Puerto Rico's public safety commissioner, said. I don't know how to make this any clearer. His stark warning came as frantic preparations are being made across much of the Caribbean ahead of the arrival of the potentially catastrophic Category 5 hurricane. With winds of 160 miles per hour, Maria is threatening to inflict mudslides, flash floods, life-threatening winds, and storm surges throughout the region. Hurricane Maria, the second maximum strength Atlantic storm of the season, is bearing down on the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico at the moment. It briefly weakened to a 4 but is now again picking up top sustained winds of 280 kilometers per hour. The storm is moving roughly along the same track as Irma. Local officials said one person was killed by a falling tree in the overseas French territory of Guadeloupe. At least 2 others were missing after their ship sank near Desirade, the easternmost island in the archipelago. The governor of Puerto Rico, a United States territory, has told the island's 3.5 million people to seek shelter as the hurricane is poised to make landfall overnight. North Korean state media claims Kim Jong-un watched a hydrogen bomb being loaded into an ICBM. The abbreviation ICBM stands for Intercontinental Ballistic Missile, a large nuclear weapon that can travel very long distances. A TV announcement said the nuclear test had been ordered by Kim. The device was about 8 times more powerful than the nuclear bomb dropped on Hiroshima in 1945, according to NORSAR, a Norway-based group that monitors nuclear tests. Based on the tremors following the test, NORSAR estimated it had an explosive yield of 120 kilotons. Hiroshima had 15 kilotons. The United Nations Security Council called an emergency meeting for Monday. Asked by a reporter Sunday whether the United States would attack North Korea, Trump responded, "We'll see."
Mr. President, will you attack North Korea?
this represents?
Tell us, sir.
I don't know, maybe it's the calm before the storm.
What's the storm?
Could be the calm before the storm. We have the world's great military people in this room, I will tell you that. And we're going to have a great evening. Thank you all for coming.
What storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
Give us a hint on your answers.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. Thank you, guys.
This is freaky. This is freaky.
Brazil's Amazon rainforest is on fire. The lungs of the world are burning in Brazil at the highest rate since 2013. Sao Paulo, Brazil's largest city, was obscured by ash and thick smoke, and millions of people saw day turning into night as the sky became pitch black in the middle of the daylight hours. The Amazon is the largest rainforest in the world. It spans 9 countries and covers 40% of South America, an area that is almost the size of two-thirds of the United States. More than 30 million people live in the Amazon rainforest, which is also home to large numbers of mammals, birds, and other animals unique to the region. The Amazon forest produces about 20% of Earth's oxygen, and it is often referred to as the lungs of the Earth. Scientists discover there a new plant or animal species every 48 hours. The breaking news, just in Momentum's news desk, is that a 7.1 magnitude earthquake rocked Ridgecrest, California. The earthquake comes a day after a 6.4 magnitude earthquake in the same area. Southern California earthquake initially measured 0.9 kilometers deep. Multiple fires and injuries are reported in Ridgecrest, California. There is no report of any major building that has collapsed. A state of emergency had already been declared for Kern County. Los Angeles airport officials say there is no damage to airfield or terminal buildings. California's governor declared a state of emergency for San Bernardino County. United States Geological Survey says stronger earthquakes may yet occur. Towns in Southern California report rockslides, broken water mains, and power lines down. Los Angeles Fire Department reports local power outages, but no major infrastructure damage. Tropical Storm Barry may become the second Katrina for New Orleans. Tropical Storm Barry is gathering strength in the warm water of the Gulf. Barry will test New Orleans' storm protection system. There is a high chance of flash flooding in New Orleans and Baton Rouge, officials say. New Orleans is a flood-prone area. Half of the city is at or below sea level. Actually, New Orleans is the nation's most vulnerable city to hurricanes. Hurricane Katrina was an extremely destructive and deadly Category 5 hurricane that made landfall on Florida and Louisiana in August 2005, causing catastrophic damage, particularly in New Orleans. Katrina was the deadliest United States hurricane since the 1928 Okeechobee hurricane. Almost 2,000 people lost their lives in 2005 as a direct result of Hurricane Katrina. In 2005, New Orleans' federal flood protection system failed, resulting in the worst civil engineering disaster in United States history. Now everyone hopes 2019 and Barry will be a different story for New Orleans, a story with a happy end.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated for the departure of the official party.
Mesdames et messieurs, veuillez rester à vos places pour le départ du cortège officiel.